I'll go ahead and give everyone just a brief intro of yesshecan. So UTEP yesshecan is basically a aim um, for for Hispanic women to get integrated into STEM, and usually, this is made through, I guess, our main approach is gathering diversity, but focusing on Hispanic women in STEM. I'm not sure if the rest of our team members wanted to introduce themselves. I'll go ahead and start. So, my name is Suzanne, or Susie, if you wanted to call me by that, that's what I would prefer. I'm a psychology major with a minor in biological sciences, and I've been working with yesshecan for about a few months now. Um, and honestly, I'm sure my colleagues would agree. I have learned so much about myself in the program and so much about others. So it's a really cool, project we got going on here. And I'm really happy to be here. So whoever wanted to go next, I pass the mic to you.
Okay, well, I'll go next. My name is Jasmine Reyes. I am a research assistant for the yesshecan program, and I'm currently studying business management with a concentration of entrepreneurship, and I just added a minor of international business. Like Susie said, like I learned a lot about myself, and I haven't been working with yesshecan not even a year yet, and I've been learning so much, and I'm just excited for the future. So thank you for everyone coming, and I'm excited what happens.
Mhm. And well, I'll go next. So my name is Ruby Ryan, and I'm also a research assistant for yesshecan. I'm a biology major and have a minor in secondary education, so I want to go more of like the education route. And I'm not sure if you all can tell, but we all come from like very different majors and minors, and we're all studying different things. We all don't really have anything in common. But this Yes You Can program, it offers a lot of opportunities for anyone in college, outside of college. We offer so many workshops, mentorships. So it's something that has really benefited me as well. So if you are new to Yes You Can, or this is one of our first presentations that you've been to, I just want to say welcome, and I hope that you all stick around for our other presentations because we have a lot more in store.
Okay, so um, my computer froze. Okay, there you go. So we're gonna be introducing the president, and here's our special guest. So I don't know if you want to say any words, but I'll pass the floor to you to introduce your organization.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everyone from Yes She Can for inviting us. It's really cool to be here actually. We've been wanting to do some collaborations with the rest of the school. Um, because we are the English Honor Society for UTEP, we kind of just stay in our little cave inside Hotspur Hall, not talking to anyone else. So it's good to finally reach out and um, start working with other people, right? So basically, yeah, like I said, Sigma Tau Delta, we're an international English honor society, meaning that our chapter in UTEP is one of hundreds in the country and around the world as well. Um, we're basically an organization where, well, we work at two levels. Obviously, the international one has to do more with opportunities of publishing. There's scholarships. We have an annual expo where people can go present their research papers. Usually we fly out, like everyone in the country, we fly out to one city, but this year it's going to be virtual because of the pandemic. And yeah, our local level, which is our chapter, uh, we just do a lot of fun stuff. Recently, we've been doing our pick and pages events where we kind of do what we're gonna do here. We choose a poem or a short story, we read it together, and we discuss it. And that's also open to the whole school. So if you guys are interested, let me know. And my name is Luis Menendez. I'm the president. And yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you, Luis, for sharing with us. And We hope that you enjoy our presentation in your organization as well, if any of your members are here.
Thank you, Luis. So before we get started, I just wanted to share some information with you guys. So if you could see here, Americans have not read a book in the past year as 27%, and then Hispanic have not read a book in the past year as well, and that's 40%. And we just made this event so we could create those percentages to be lower, and just to gain book recommendations, because I know we have book recommendations we want to share. I've been listening to a lot of my coworkers. They have a lot of book recommendations, and I'm just excited to hear your guys's as well. So yeah, we created this event just to make those percentages go lower.
So just a few things. I mean, I'm sure if you're here, you're already a bookworm, but these are just a few things that I wanted to share that have been proven that reading helps with. So reading helps expand your mind, improve your memory, improve concentration, allows for creative thinking, it can help you distress, it improves your vocabulary, and it's a great conversation starter. And overall, reading makes you smarter. And that's just, those are a few facts that I wanted to share with you, because I feel like oftentimes we forget the value of reading and literature. And those are just a few things that maybe we can talk about here in this chat, and how reading has helped you.
So as mentioned before, we are here because we just want to know what people are reading and what inspired them. But in this event, we are going to gain like book recommendations, knowledge on how to grow and achieve your goals, and also to gain some connection. And that is why we have this organization here. And I want to thank you, you all attending. So I'll be giving the floor to Susie.
Alrighty. So with that being said, as of right now, this is basically where we start to spark our conversation. So anyone who is here, you are more than welcome to take the mic. But I actually wanted to start off with a question for the president of UTEP Sigma Tau Delta or any of their members. So to my understanding, well, you guys are English majors, right? So I wanted to ask you guys, like, do you have like this weird pressure that you should be a bookworm, or that you should just know pieces of literature? Because as a psych major, like anytime that somebody asks me about like Freud, which is like a super like popular psychologist, even though like I personally don't agree with everything Freud says, but that's a whole other conversation. I wanted to know if you guys feel this sense of pressure that you should, you know, be super, super literate when it comes to reading.
Sure. I mean, I can answer that, but I'm sure Kaylee and Andrea feel the same way. Um, I don't know if you guys have heard of this phenomenon called imposter syndrome, where you're surrounded by people who are very smart, and you're there also for a reason, but you start feeling like maybe you don't belong there because you start doubting yourself, and that is like 90% of my experience as a literature major. Like all we do in class is discuss, what we're reading and compare it to other things we have read in the past or other classes. And then people just start naming like these obscure books and all these authors, and they like have read every piece of literature on earth. And you're like, I don't know, I haven't read like 90% of what you're saying. Like, so there's definitely that pressure, but I don't know. I mean, I think it just ties back to what I said about imposter syndrome. Like, you don't have to read like 100 books a year. Like, it's more about really, I guess, connecting with the books you are reading and reading what interests you, what you want to read. I don't fall into that trap where people say, "Oh, these are classic books, and you have to read all of these." Like, just read whatever you want and enjoy it, and try to learn from all of those.
So I just wanted to add on to that, like, if everything goes well, I technically should be graduating in the spring. And honestly, I don't know how I got this far. I don't know, like, how I've gotten the grades I've got, like, read the books that I have. And the same thing, like, when, yeah, I know. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I feel like I'm not up to speed with everyone else, even though, like, my credits say otherwise. But I think I personally do feel that pressure because, like, even up to this year, I'm barely reading Moby Dick. But that's always like, oh, the professors are like, oh, you should have read this in high school, The Scarlet Letter, and like all these other classics, and it's like, no, I actually haven't. Yeah, I'm liking it so far, Kaylee. But yeah, I feel like behind when I haven't read those things. So there's like this small gnawing pressure in the back. Oh, LOL. To have read everything, and that can be overwhelming sometimes because it's like a lot of texts depend on other texts that are already existing. Um, and it's better when you do read, like you're well read because you get to develop these like interesting arguments and stuff. But it's a lot of stuff to read. Like, how can you read everything in the world? Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I was thinking about it today. I was like, dang, like these are people in the English Honor Society, like, and I don't know, like the fact that yeah, like we thought like let's invite the English Honor Society to our book sharing event. Like I was like, well, hold on now. Like what if they I mean, sometimes it's just hard, at least for me, it's hard to just open a book sometimes. Like it really is. Like, oh my God, it's so hard. So I can imagine if you guys are always reading and doing a lot of literature reviews for class, like the pressure is heavy. And with what you guys were saying, I just wanted to know real quick. We literally had a coffee chat. So we do coffee chats every Thursday, every other Thursday, and it was on imposter syndrome last week. So when you mentioned it, like I was like, yes, I completely sympathize with that. Jasmine's like, yeah. Um, is there anyone that I wouldn't want to, take the floor immediately at all? I'm kind of curious to know if anyone brought like a book recommendation or does anyone have anything prepared?
Or maybe even like share what you're reading right now. Not to like call you out, Anna, or anything, but she's from the Terry Scholars, so I'm a Terry Scholar too, and she actually started a book club with the Terry Scholars, and I tried to join it. I'm still in the group chat and everything, so that's how I was able to invite her. But I just got really busy and everything, but I see them texting all the time in the group chat about their book club and how they're reading right now. So maybe like, would you want to share, Anna, what you guys are reading right now? I read The Alchemist with them and I loved it. It helped me so much. Because I was going through a really difficult time in my life, and that's how reading has helped me personally. It kind of helped me like get out of my head and get out of like this space that I was in. I felt really pressured and everything. So when she actually started the book club, and that was the first book that we all read together, it helped me so much, especially get through that difficult time in my life. So I don't know if you want to share, Anna, or anyone wants to share a book they recommend or something that they're reading right now, helping getting everyone through quarantine.
Sure. I just want to say we miss you in book club, Ruby.
Oh.
But right now we're reading The Four Agreements. I forgot the author. We're about almost finished with that. But personally, I just finished The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and it's such a good book. Obviously, with everything that's been happening around the Black Lives Matter movement, I think it's just very important to kind of inform yourself about other perspectives. And obviously, it's a piece of fiction, right? And it's a piece of YA fiction, but I think it gave a really important perspective that I, as a person that's not, not like a Black American, that I don't have. So yeah, it was so good. I thought it tackled a lot of really important things, very like very the word I'm looking for is like very well, but a better word than well. So yeah, I just finished reading that and I'm picking out what to read next. So
No, I agree. My dad, as funny as this is, I don't really read that much. And my dad's a librarian, so he reads all the time. He's always reading something different. And before he was a librarian, he was a teacher. And he would tell me that so many books that he has read throughout his career have helped him really understand his students on a personal level, even though he hasn't experienced what they're going through in their life. So, like how you were mentioning, Anna, like even though you aren't really like a Black American, like through that book you kind of get to understand like the perspective of what it would be like to be one. So I really like how literature does give you like a different perspective on life and other people's experiences and everything. So that's a really good thing that you pointed out.
Yeah, I feel like there are so many pieces of literature that, I mean, yeah, they provide so many different perspectives that we don't really place ourselves in. And sometimes it goes down to like dialect, like in a book, and basically seeing like how, I guess by the vocabulary that a certain character might use, you can get so many things out of them, like their educational level. I guess in the book, you can kind of estimate their surroundings, and these surroundings may not be the same as yours. So I think it's super important to, I guess, like read literature that helps us stay informed in a creative manner. So thank you for sharing that. Um, I actually do have a book recommendation, and I will type it in the chat. And I see Sarah Salado in the chat, so she would probably agree that I never shut up about this book. So this book is called The Man Who Couldn't Stop, and it is by David Adams. And basically, it's called. Let's have it right next to me. So it's called The Man Who Could Not Stop by David Adams. And it's basically OCD and the true story of a life lost in thought. And I remember I was at Barnes and Nobles with, actually, I think I was with Sarah when I picked this book up. And I have no idea why OCD was a disorder that I felt I was very passionate about, if that makes sense. It was one of the first disorders, and this was when I was in high school, so I had no idea that I wanted to do psychology at the time. Um, and I remember picking up the book and I read a few chapters, and I didn't have enough money. The book was like $15. And I remember I didn't have enough money to get it, so I would ask my mom to take me to Barnes and Noble so I could just like freeload and read it. But eventually I bought my brother bought the book for me, and it's one of the first books that kind of like showed me what I'm interested in. And for the longest time, I had such a big prejudice against my own major. I was like, psychology, like, you know? But overall, like, the book really educated me on OCD. There's a lot of stereotypes about this disorder. A lot of the times people are kind of like, oh, OCD is when you can't stop washing your hands, or sometimes I'll hear people say like, dang, I can't stop organizing everything in my house. Like that's not OCD. That's not a disorder. That's just you being a clean freak, you know? Um, and it really educated me. And so when I learned about OCD, I was like, well, what types of prejudices are formed against other disorders? Other mental illnesses. And I, just like that, I didn't even know I was falling in love with psychology. And here I am. So I really do give credit to David Adam for helping me out with this. So yeah, this is one of the first books that I was super passionate about. And I don't know if it has to do with the time frame of my life, or if it has to do with the fact that I just really like the subject. So yeah, I don't know if any of you have any books that are very dear to your heart, whether it be because of the time frame of your life, or I guess the subject about it, or what it was about.
Yeah, I got one. I'll say my piece now, I guess. I just don't like talking too much because I talk too much, and then people don't stop me. Just some precedent. Anyways, this is my recommendation. It's Siddhartha. It's in the chat. Um, it's a weird book for me. I mean, I love it, and it kind of did change my life, but it kind of made me think about like spiritual questions that I didn't want to think about at the time. I was just like an angsty a teenager. I was like anti-religion. My mom almost had a heart attack when I told her I didn't want to do my confirmation, and like this Catholic religion that I grew up with. Um, so when I picked up Siddhartha, it deals with Hinduism and Buddhism, um, but it's kind of like it's fiction in the way that it takes these like spiritual questions and just kind of plays with them. Makes Herman Hesse, the writer, makes a fictional character, which is the name of the book, Siddhartha. He is kind of a prince of his village. He's the son of the Brahmin. The Brahmin is in Hinduism. They are the spiritual leaders of their village, and they're like super respected and everything. So he's kind of the prince of his town. But throughout all of his life, they keep like preparing him to be the next Brahmin. He does all these rituals, he prays, he fasts, all these things, but he's never satisfied. His heart is never satisfied. So he runs away, and he joins a group of monks that are like they kind of take Hinduism to the extreme. Like they're nomads. They don't have any earthly possessions. They almost never eat or shower or drink water or anything. And he spends like a few months with them, but again, he's not satisfied. So he goes on, and in the book, he actually meets the Buddha. Like he hears about him roaming around India, and him and his best friend go to see him, and he talks to him, and it's like this really majestic scene, right? Like the the illuminated one, and you're talking to him, and that's supposed to be like your answer for like your spiritual thirst that Siddhartha felt. But again, he's not satisfied, and then he just makes a 180, becomes super rich, has a lot of sex, all these material things, and he's not satisfied. And in the end, he is able to find his own peace, uh, just by working as like in a like a little boat that takes people across a river, and all day he's just listening to the river and listening to the water and seeing the nature, and that's where he finds it. So again, I mean, I'm not saying that. Oh, yeah, like I'm like Kaylee said, it's very moving, and I'm not trying to tell you guys that this is my religion now, or I've been praying and I was a monk. Like, no, I didn't really look at it from that like position, and that's not how it affected me. What I took from it is it's okay to challenge conventions and norms. It's okay to disagree with what's in place, with what your family thinks. It's okay to find your own path, and that's what I've been trying to do. Like I've just been doing what I want to do, what I enjoy doing, and I think that's like one of the main themes of the book. How Siddhartha is able to find his own happiness by finding his own path. Even like with his best friend trailing him, they end up like splitting ways because they understand like, well, my piece is not gonna be your piece. Like we're not gonna find it the same way. We're all unique individuals. Um, so yeah, that's what it taught me. Like just be confident in yourself, find your own way, um, challenge people, like be a rebel. It's fine. Um, And yeah, like just try to find your own happiness and love yourselves.
I really love that overall. I mean, growing up as with one religion, right, and then reading about another one, I can understand how it does feel a little like taboo in a way. Um, for me, it was kind of the opposite. Like, I grew up with no religion really. My dad grew up Muslim and my mom grew up Catholic. So I went to church when I was little, but growing up, like I never really had a religion. But now it's funny you mentioned religion because literally like I think like a week ago I ordered the Quran and it's been next to my bed. Like I've had this next to my bed and I try to read a little bit every night just because I feel like with religion, like it's a lot more than just religion or what you believe in. I feel like it has so much to do with culture. And I feel like if I were to read the book, I would understand my family members a lot better. And it's not so much that I want or I don't know. I don't know what if this will change my beliefs or whatever, but it's not that's my aim. It's just that I feel that if I understand something a little better, then it'll be easier to handle if that makes sense. Um so yeah, thank you for sharing that, Luis. And you're making me curious. I feel like I might have to pick that up myself.
I am, by the way, it's like really short, so go ahead.
You know, books with a lot of pages do intimidate me. They really do. Like there'll be a book that I think looks so cool and I'm like, I'm just never gonna get through it, you know? Um, but you know, I think you just put yourself into that mindset. Yeah,
I have a
definitely.
short book recommendation. Yeah, okay. So I feel like I have probably a very relatable problem in that I'm intimidated by really thick novels, and I'm not a novel person at all. I'm short stories and I'm poems and I'm plays. Like that's kind of like my concentration. Like I love poetry. I hardly ever reach for novels. So I brought a poetry book. I like these because I feel like I can read a poem and sit with it and not feel obligated or rushed to finish a story, right? So, also, you know, at the beginning you were asking, well, I think Susie, what? Yeah, okay. You were kind of wondering like, how do you do it all? And like, the answer is like, you don't do it all. It's so interdisciplinary, like, you know, it's expansive. It's the entire human experience kind of like reduced down to novels and plays and short stories. So you find something you really like and then you devote a lot of time to studying it. So I have The Woman Who Fell from the Sky by Joy Harjo. It has a really beautiful cover and it's very small. She is our poet laureate right now, which she's our first Indigenous woman poet laureate. She comes from the Muskogee tribe in Oklahoma. And I feel like something about her poems are that they're very accessible, right? So you're not kind of like reading anything very experimental or fragmented where you'll kind of just like kick yourself for not understanding what you're reading. But they're still like very beautifully written and intricate and personal, right? So she writes about the Native experience in America, which is can be generalized, but she kind of concentrates it on her experience with that tribe. So a lot of kind of Indigenous representation is generalized, right, as very harmful stereotypes, but this is like personal. And it's even kind of like contemporary because she's talking about her Indigenous identity, but also talking about being a woman and loving jazz music and her son. And she writes really beautiful, meaningful poetry. And there's lines that kind of just like stay with you. Like there's this one line where the poem's called Promise of Blue Horses, and the line goes, I run with the blue horses of electricity who surround the heart and imagine a promise made when no promise was possible. Like when I read that, that's just like so beautiful, right? And then she'll like have like really small fragmented sentences, like she's talking about her lover and she says like, we are a small earth. And it's just like, I feel like I can read one of her poems before I go to bed and then like think about it, and it kind of stays with you. So I'll make sure to write the title in the chat. But if you find yourself kind of like not able to get through novels, like poetry books, and especially poetry books by like women of color and like marginalized women, right? And a lot of her work, like I said, is interdisciplinary. So it's like environmental science and biological sciences, right, in poems. And even like a major and super important topic that she writes about is land rights, right? So like land back, you know, that term that's really popular right now among Indigenous sovereignty movements. She was writing this in like the 80s, and this is still a problem. And you can get really beautiful poems about love and family and food and culture, but also really important topics that, you know, like Anna right now was talking about, like how this book resonates with like Black Lives Matter. Like we need to like talk about these, you know, transformative social movements and show our solidarity through like the types of books we choose to read. But yeah, it's a short read. I got through it pretty quickly, and I hope you guys really enjoy it.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. All of that was so meaningful, Kaylee. Thank you for that. That was awesome. I definitely agree with you when it comes to the whole like reading poems is a lot more steady, but it's not just like reading a short poem. It's like there's so much that goes into poetry. Like even the structure literally can leave me at awe sometimes. I'm like that's why it's shaped like that. I don't know. I remember having a really really good time in literature class, especially with Spanish literature. That was amazing. I remember I would literally, yeah, I remember sending Luis like a bunch of poems, like, dude, read this. This is amazing. But with that being said, this is like a little fan favorite, but I'm sure all of you have heard of The Sun and Her Flowers. I actually have it right next to me. It's by Ruby Carr, right? I definitely agree with the whole like choosing women from marginalized groups. You learn so much. As a brown woman, I feel like it's nice to be represented. And there's this one. So The Sun and Her Flowers is it's basically a poetry book about how she's bloomed, I guess you could say. And there's this one poem, and I really like it. So what I really like about Ruby Cartu is that her poetry is very friendly, and she has like this I feel like this is like a story time, but she has like this drawing on it. I don't know if you guys can see it, and it's basically someone just like blooming, and it's towards the end of the book, so I'm assuming that's why she put it there. And it goes, so it says, it was when I stopped searching for home within others and lifted the foundations of home within myself, I found there were no roots more intimate than those between a mind and body that have decided to be whole. So I really like that in her book, she talks about how she finds a lot of self love. And she does it on her own. And I feel like that's something that a lot of us really need to work on sometimes. I feel like a lot of the times, humanity, we just kind of like to fill these little holes or voids with other things when we kind of just don't address whatever it is that we need to address. And I really appreciate that Ruby, put it in here. And like I said, when it comes to structure, I think is like really important in poetry. And so I really like that, like the poem gets like smaller, like as you read it. And I feel like it's because, I mean, this is just my take on it, but I'm assuming it's because, like, as it gets smaller, like, you get to the root of the problem, I guess. That's how I took it. And even the fact that she didn't even use, like, proper capitalization in her poems is like she really made it hers, you know? So yeah, thank you for bringing poetry up. I feel like that's super important. Was there anyone else that had a book recommendation? Or wanted to touch on any other subject that we've mentioned so far?
I have a book recommendation.
Hey, Brittany.
So I'm currently in the process of moving, so I had to dig into my box to find this book, but it's called Educated, and it's by Tara Westover. And this book came out like not that long ago, actually. I think even less than a year ago. And I remember when it first came out, I was like the first one, like one of the first people and like to try to get it, because I was in the process of trying to change my field, my major, and I was really thinking about the education field, and it was just thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And so I was like, you know what, this book is gonna lead me in some sort of way. And it did, like 100%. Like I fell in love with my major 100 times more, and I grew so much appreciation and respect for my educators, not just in school but like in life. So basically, it's a autobiography, and Tara's speaking about how she grew up in like a very small town, and her parents didn't allow her or her siblings to go to school or read a book or anything really that wasn't coming from the church. So Tara and her siblings, they were very like in a dangerous house, because they weren't educated. Their parents weren't very educated either. So basically, Tara goes on and leaves her house so she can pursue an education. And she ends up getting a doctorate's degree. And I think out of her seven siblings, the three that left to go to school all were able to get a doctorate's degree. And it's like, it grounds you so much, because for me, like I was always a rebel kid in school, and Susie and Sarah can agree on that. I was terrible. Like I would always get in trouble. I never like respected my teachers in middle school or elementary. Like I was always in trouble, and I always said I would never be a teacher. So after reading this book, I'm like, I'm so happy that I chose this field, because it's like, it's a blessing, you know, that we're able to go to school and get an education in whatever field we want. And you know, I don't have to sacrifice much like Tara did. You know, she literally had to leave everything she knew behind to get an education. And that's how beautiful, like, you know, school and teaching and learning is. Like it's like my life now, you know, and I love it. So I'll write it down, but it's called Educated, and it's a beautiful book.
I'm so happy that you are in education. Like 100%, I can see you sympathizing with your students. I can see you sitting down and actually just being an overall amazing educator. And I can't wait until you get to do that, because I know you're going to do amazing. You really are. Like, you just are. And I think it's awesome that you found a book that resonated with you, and just made you appreciate it even more. I'm noticing that a lot of us are, I mean, from what I've heard, it's like, I guess like I'm still in the stage in college where I'm like, this is my major. Yes, I will be a psychologist. Like I'm like, yep, trying to take myself seriously, you know. And as I get older, like it's through like little things, like how you mentioned, Brittany, that really make me feel like, okay, this is the right decision. I feel so good about this, you know? Because I feel like everyone goes through the whole like, I don't know if I want this, you know? So yeah, I'm glad that Educated by Tara Westover gave that to you. And I think Diane also read that. I think she's an educator herself.
And I'm excited to read that. Thank you for the recommendation because I'm going into education. So definitely gonna read that one.
So I just wanted to share. It's actually two, but it's by the same author. It's I'll write it in the chat, but it's a memoir called Native Country in the Heart, and this like other book of essays called Chicana Codex of Changing Consciousness by Sherry Moraga. And I read those two. I just finished Native Country of the Heart, and so it's Chicana literature, and I love Chicana literature. I love it. And I just think, especially like here in the borderland, like a lot of us can understand where she's coming from, and she makes a point to emphasize like her Chicanisma and her lesbianism in her writings. And in the memoir, it's on her mom. And let me just tell you, I'm just gonna be honest. I like cried when I finished that book. I don't know if it's because of like my own personal issues, like I don't know, but I was like, this isn't okay because I hadn't cried with a book for like so long. Like my comfort books are like Twilight, you know, like what? So, anyways, so I have like no place to be recommending things, but those two books I would recommend. Especially like since it gives me like a sense of community as like at some point in my life I had considered myself a Chicana. I don't know if I still do. It changes all the time. But I would totally recommend those two. I really, really liked it. And again, that goes back to like us talking about, yep, I'll type it. Like marginalized groups, like how that literature is like so rich and sometimes it's very like hidden. It talks about it. It's not part of the mainstream, but it's awesome. I'll write it in the chat. Yeah.
I totally feel you on the whole, like considering yourself a Chicana, you know, going back and forth. And I feel like it has a lot to do with like recognizing your cultural identity. And sometimes I'm like, do I have enough experience to be considered Chicana? Like, I have no idea. So thank you for making that such a real, you know, thought for a lot of people, actually. I'm actually trying to find a poem. So I guess as soon as I find it, I'll go ahead and let you guys know. But it is in Spanish. If I'm not mistaken, most of us here know Spanish. And I remember, I don't know if any of you relate to this, but I remember when I was in high school, I was all about reading and poems and analyzing, and like, oh my God, I thought I was the queen of like just knowing everything for some reason. I guess maybe it was just me, but I kind of feel like that. Anyways, this poem, and God, I wish my Spanish teacher was here, but what's it called? There was this just a quick heads up. I believe we're gonna share our screen in just a second. But for the time being, I just wanted to share this poem. I haven't read this poem since high school, but hopefully you guys like it. So it goes, volverán las oscuras golondrinas en tu balcón sus nidos a colgar, y otra vez, con el ala, a sus cristales jugando llamarán. Pero aquellas que el vuelo refrenaban, tu hermosura mi dicha a contemplar. Aquellas que aprendieron nuestros nombres, esas no volverán. Y volverán las tupidas madreselvas de tu jardín, las tapias a escalar, y otra vez a la tarde, aún más hermosas, sus flores se abrirán. Pero aquellas cuajadas de rocío cuyas gotas mirábamos temblar y caer como lágrimas del día, esas no volverán. Y volverán del amor en tus oídos, las palabras ardientes a sonar. Tu corazón de su profundo sueño tal vez despertará. Pero mundo y absorto y rodillas como se adora a Dios ante su altar. Como yo te he querido, desengáñate, así no te querrán. This poem stuck with me in high school because I remember thinking, like, overall, the poem is just about loving someone through the seasons and then recognizing that the next season, since that isn't technically their lover anymore, it just won't be the same. So it's going through the same seasons all of the time, but it not feeling the same. So it gives you like this crazy sense of like, I mean, it sounds kind of dumb, but dang, time really does exist in a way. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, this is being recorded, so maybe if you guys wanted to check back on that, I'll write it in the chat if you wanted to look at it. But definitely something that resonated with me as a high schooler. So I hope my botched Spanish sort of resonated with you guys too. Jasmine, were you gonna share the screen or was that Ruby?
I will. But I wanted to let you finish, and thank you, Susie, for sharing that. That was really nice. I enjoyed it very much, and I enjoyed hearing all of your recommendations. It's crazy how fast an hour went by, but we are coming to an end, and we just wanted to share a few things with you all before closing up.
So can you go to the next slide? So thank you everyone for attending this event. It was amazing. It was an amazing conversation. But also thank you for the International English Honor Society for joining us. You guys are amazing, and I hope to see you guys soon at our future yesshecan events, chit chats, and workshops. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or any comments.
I was actually going to ask Luis if you wanted to talk about any future events that you guys might be hosting soon. Do you guys have any other plans, or what do you guys have coming up if you do?
Yeah. Well, we've been doing pretty. Wait, am I muted? Yeah. We've been doing pretty regular, the book club sessions that I told you guys about earlier, the Pick'em pages. We posted on our social media. We posted on Mind Tracker, and like I said, it's open to the whole school. You guys can just come in. And we didn't want to give our members more stuff to read because that's our careers and we get very stressed about it. So what we do, like I said, is just choose a short poem or a short story. We read it there and we discuss it after. So you don't have to like come with something read already. It's fine. And yeah, I don't know if we'll have one this weekend, but we'll definitely have another one before the semester ends. We only have like 3 weeks left. So yeah, keep an eye out and
Yes,
have you there.
I was gonna know. I ended up attending, I believe, like the first one that you guys held, and it was so much fun. I am not a major that pertains a lot to literature. Not an English major or anything like that. So just having a cool space to just like touch on a passion that I've had, it's awesome. So I would really recommend it to the rest of you. It's really great. I saw in the chat, Natalie Perez asked, where do we find the link for the Thursday workshops? So actually, Natalie, you can find them you can follow us on Instagram. Thank you for pulling up that page. We post all of our upcoming events there, and all you got to do is DM us or send us a message. I'll put my email on the chat in case you just wanted to email me directly. I will be more than happy to give it to you. and we would love to see you there. We really do love the fact that we're collaborating with other organizations, and we're growing and glowing. So hopefully you can make it. Thank you, Kaylee, for posting our Linktree. You can also register on there. So yeah, that's where you can find them. Jasmine, did you want to touch a little bit on our upcoming workshops?
Yeah, of course. So, talking about our future events, we do have upcoming events that are coming. Tomorrow we have one, and I believe Crystal is the host, and we will be talking about the three components of fitness. And it will be on Zoom at 5 p.m. And I think Crystal is here, so I don't know if you have anything to mention about it.
I actually think Crystal had to run,
Yeah, okay.
but she does give great workshops if anyone is interested in that. She actually owns a gym, and in that gym they do like meal preps and like healthy eating and tips and things like that. So if you guys have time tomorrow, you can stop by that workshop. I really encourage it.
Right, and she'll actually be doing it alongside Dr. Irma. She is a doctor in psychology. So super amazing women. I look up to them so much. So you guys would honestly really love it if you loved this. And we also have our mental health coffee chat coming up. It is on December 3rd. This one is going to focus on just like gloomy weather, gloomy year. So we're pretty much just trying our best to prioritize everyone's mental health and just having like a safe space for everyone to just talk about how they've been feeling, because it's very real. I hope that these types of events really do help people um, feel better in these crazy times. And just like reading, I feel like when you do read, you have an opportunity to sort of escape the chaos. So I really hope that everyone really did benefit a lot from our event.
And just how we were showing earlier, we do have all of these social media handles. I don't know if you guys would like to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. On YouTube, we post all of our workshops and everything. So that's where we'll be posting any upcoming events for yesshecan. If you all would like to follow us on any of that, it's there. And then
And once again, thank you for the International English Honor Society. Am I muted? No, okay. But if you guys would like to check them out, here's their Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook usernames. If I miss any social medias, please let me know so the audience could check your organization out. Um, but yeah, go check them out, and I really appreciate you guys being with us.
yes.
Thank you. This was awesome. Let's do it again sometime.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. I really enjoyed today's chat.
But yeah, once again, thank you for coming. I will paste the link again so you could put your book recommendation. If you missed it, I will be emailing you guys with all the book recommendations later on today. You will receive an email. But yeah, but thank you guys for coming, and I really hope you guys have an amazing night.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate the support. We appreciate the community engagement. I agree with Luis. We should definitely do this again. I loved collaborating with you guys. Luis, honestly, your members have such amazing thoughts. Thank you so much. I loved it. So with that
Yeah,
being
we're really deep people, I guess.
yeah, it seems like it. But that's all good. We love it. So I guess with that being said, yeah, like Jasmine said, you guys are welcome to stay. I'll go ahead and stick around. But I think we are good to go.